ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਜੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਧਾਰਿਓ ਆਕਾਸੰ, ਬੈ ਸੰਤਰੰ ਕਾਸ਼ਟ ਬੇਸਟੰ। ਜੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਸਸ ਸੂਰ ਨਖੇਤਰ, ਜੋਤਿਯੰ ਸਾਸੰ ਸਰੀਰ ਧਾਰਣੰ। ਜੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਮਾਤ ਗਰਭ ਪ੍ਰਤਪਾਲੰ, ਨਹਿ ਛੇ ਦੰਤ ਜਠਰ ਰੋਗਣੈ। ਤੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਅਸਥੰਭੰ ਸਰੋਵਰੰ, ਨਾਨਕ ਨਹਿ ਛਿਜੰਤ ਤਰੰਗ ਤੋਇਣੈ। ਤੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਅਸਥੰਭੰ ਸਰੋਵਰੰ, ਨਾਨਕ ਨਹਿ ਛਿਜੰਤ ਤਰੰਗ ਤੋਇਣੈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, today ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਪਾਵਨ ਪਿੱਤਰ Salok Sehaskriti Bani, we've all just listened to. The 53rd Salok of Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji's Bani. So let us all make a humble attempt to go through Satguru Ji Paatshah Ji's Bani that is filled with beautiful gems and pearls. So our ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨ, ਹੱਥ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਆਪ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਰਵਾ ਲੈਣ। ਜੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਧਾਰਿਓ ਆਕਾਸੰ। ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੇਨ ਕਲਾ। ਜੇਨ means ਜਿਸ ਨੇ, that one, that's what Jain means. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੇਨ ਕਲਾ, ਕਲਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ means ਸ਼ਕਤੀ meaning power. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ Ji's power they're referring to here. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that one that has put their power, Jain kala ਧਾਰਿਓ means put in their power into what? Akasang, coming from the word akash. Akash sangat ji meaning the sky. They saying look at that way that Akal Purkh Vaheguru ji ਧਾਰਿਓ sangat ji here can translate to support as well. Look at that way. Have we ever thought about these things? Have we ever contemplated when we're looking up at the sky? Yes, appreciating the beauty of that sky, appreciating that beautiful blue color. But then at the same time, we talk about Simran Sangat Ji. There's one where our Guru gives us that mantra to recite again and again, that Vaheguru mantra. That Vaheguru mantra that awakens us from inside, that connects us to that one. But there's many ways of connecting to that one and doing Simran of that one. Simran means to remember that one. Sangat ji, ਕਿਸੇ ਮੰਤਰ ਦਾ ਜਾਪ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਉਸ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਸਮੇਂ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. Doing jap ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, recitation of a mantra that the Guru gives us, blesses us with, instills inside of us. It's a form of bhakti, a form of devotion, of awakening ourselves from inside. But Sangat Ji, Simran can be done in so many different ways. The remembrance of Vaheguru Ji. And over here, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah Ji is awakening us in connecting and remembering that one in all these different ways, and saying that jisne, look at that one, that kala, look at the shakti, look at the power of that one, that dhaario, that is holding up that sky in place. It doesn't move, it remains as it is all the time, in hukam, in the order of that one of Vaheguru Ji. Sangat Ji, that sometimes if we just contemplate looking at the sky and it's like saying saying wow, appreciating the colors of it, but beyond that, look who's supporting it. Look who's actually keeping it up there, in that place all the time. Sangat Ji, dhaario akashang basantrang. Sangat Ji comes from the word, we'll hear it as basantra as well without the tippi. meaning fire. That when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sache Paatshah, they use this word as well for fire as well, Basantar. And we hear in the Sodar, Gavahe, Pavan Pani Basantar, that the Pavan, the Pavan, the air, that Sache Paatshah say to us that kende Gavahe, Paun Pani Basantar. And they talk about how the wind, how the fire is singing of that one as well, saying that have you ever thought that look at that one, look whose power it is behind. Basantar kast bestang, bestang means leveti hui, means covered up in what? Kast means wood. They said look how that fire exists within that wood, but it is covered up and you can't see it outright until you give it the right conditions, that wood, for that fire to actually come through, but that fire is inside of it. Who is it that's placed that fire inside? Have you ever given that thought? In this way, we could be doing Simran of that one. Look, it's that kalaa, it's the Shakti of Vaheguruji that has made it so that there is fire sitting inside of this Basantar, this fire sitting inside the kast, inside of the wood. And then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah kende Jain Kala. You know, sometimes we ask this question that how can we be in awe of that one? How can we be praising that one all the time? And that's what Gurbani does for us. Gurbani takes us to a place of Simran, of Akal Purkh. Vaheguruji takes us to a place of being in constant remembrance of Vaheguruji. Gurbani Sangat Ji, Sache Paatshah Ji say to us, kende this antar rave har nama. Paatshah saying kende tis antar rave har nama. Kende eh bani jo jio jane. Kende those that get to know this bani from deep inside of themselves, these words of the Guru, those that take these words, contemplate on these words. Kende eh bani ਜੋ ਜੀਓ ਜਾਣੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਸ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਾਣਨ ਲੱਗ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ, when we have this deep connection with the Guru's Bani from inside, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤਿਸ ਅੰਤਰ ਰਵੇ ਹਰ ਨਾਮਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ then they are completely immersed in the name of God. What does it mean to be immersed in the name of God through this Bani is when Sache Paatshah Ji is taking us into that place of Simran and saying that whose power is it that is holding up the sky? Whose Shakti is it? Whose power is it? Not mine. It's not my chacha's. It's not my wife's. It's not anyone else's but that one. And Sangat Ji, who is it that has placed the ability for that fire that exists within that wood? That's Simran Sangat Ji. Eh bani jo jio jane tis antar rave har nama. I start connecting Vaheguruji's name. I start connecting Vaheguruji's name. Basantar kast bestang. See how this bani makes us do Simran of Vaheguruji. Then Paatshah Ji can lage kende jain kala sas sur nikhatar nikhetrang. Maaf karna Sangat Ji, khakke no khakke de pair vich adda yaya. Khe bolna inno ne. So we're saying na khetrang. So Sangat Ji, a bit of a twist on the kakha here. So Paatshah kende jain kene jis di kende that one kala power is kende is what inside of what kende sas within the moon. Who is it that has given jyotayang, given light, that has given light Sangat Ji to the sas, to the moon Sangat Ji. Jain kala kediya kende kala kende os kende sas de andar kende os within that moon chandrama de andar. So pyareo, Jain kala Sadguru Ji Paatshah Ji ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਸ ਦੀ kala ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that whose light is infused. So maaf karna Sangat Ji, it's nakhetra. There's no tippi on the Baksh Lena Sangat Ji, so forgive me for my mistakes, even though we asked for mistakes at the end, but kei vari naal bhi theek rehda ya. So Jain kala sas sur nakhetra, and meaning that who is it? It's that one meaning Waheguru Ji, jisne, kende that one that has placed the Jyotyang, their light, has infused their light, the power within the moon as well. Who is allowing the moon to be the moon? Who is allowing the moon to have the qualities within it that it has? It's that one. And remember, this is taking us somewhere. Saying that one who is powering everything up. What about that one? That's Guru Arjan Dev Ji is taking us somewhere. And then they say, Sasa within the moon, Sura within the Suraj, within the sun. The one that has put light within the sun, for the sun to give us all that energy, to give us that heat. Then Nikattara, sorry, for some reason I'm just getting a bit tongue twisted on this one. Nikattar, there we go. Nikattar, the Nikattar. That's what happens sometimes when you don't do enough abhyas on something, because it's been a long time. The stars, Nakshatra is the stars, Sangat Ji. Jyotyang, the light that is within all of these, within the stars, within the sun, within the moon. Kende sasang sarir taranang, the one that has taranang placed what? Sas, breath within this body. Kende jain kalaa, jisne, that one kalaa, power. Mata Garbha Pratapalang, whose Shakti, whose power was actually taking care of us whilst we were in our mother's Garbh womb. Sangat Ji, Kande Neh Chedant, Kande Neh Chedant. Chedant means that we were not afflicted, were not affected by what? Jatar Rogana. Jatar comes from the word Jatanagar. Jatanagar, if we look at the Freedcourt Steek, the arth of it, it's done clearly to Jatanagar. And Sangaji, Jatanagar is the heat that is within our body. So we all know that approximately our inside body temperature is, if we just round it up to an average figure of about 37 degrees centigrade. That is the temperature of our body inside. That's the temperature of our blood that is flowing within our body. And if you think about a temperature of 37 degrees inside of us, our core, that's pretty hot. Imagine sitting out in 37 degrees all the time. He's saying that having that Jatanagar, that heat inside of us, and that is the heat within the mother's womb. And Sangji, no matter what temperature it is outside, look at how Waheguru Ji is taking care of that child within the womb, no matter what temperature it is outside, but the inner core of somebody's body maintains that temperature on the average of about 37 degrees. Some have 36.6, 36.7, but within that heat, we struggle to sit outside in that heat. But look at Waheguru Ji, does not let the child be afflicted by that heat, isn't burnt at all. Who is it? Look at that one, that one that is doing all of that. Sangaji, I don't know, but I know there's people out there that do contemplate these things. But this can be a way of us doing Simran, of deeply contemplating it inside, and our mind will be overwhelmed in awe of that one. What an amazing way of doing Simran. People, when we end up sometimes denying that there's a Shakti, there's somebody behind that. Look how perfect everything is designed, how it's working. We spoke about the sun. Imagine that, look how great that is. That with the Shakti, with the energy of the sun, look how accurately the earth is actually is spinning. And isn't just spinning, sitting like that, is on an axle, slightly tilted, so accurately with the actual energy from the sun. It's spinning round and perfectly. It never fails for that full revolution, for it to go around, and it's always in 24 hours. Look how perfectly whilst it's spinning and it's going around the sun, and it takes 365 days. look, Sangat ji, it's mind-blowing. Whose kalaa, whose shakti is behind doing all of this? The accuracies, how much care that one is taking to how a child sits within that mother's womb, and how being within all that he is still protected, still gets nourished. It's mind-blowing. This is Simran. This is remembrance of that one. Sangat ji and Sache Paatshah ji then say to us, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹਿ ਛਿਜੰਤ ਛਿਜਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਬੱਚਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਚੋਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਉਸ ਸੇਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹਿ ਛੇਦੰਤ ਜਠਰ ਰੋਗਣਾ। And then ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਨ ਕਲਾ ਅਸਥੰਭੰ ਸਰੋਵਰੰ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ look at this, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਨ ਕਲਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that one's shakti power, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ look what it's doing. Asthambang means giving it support. Asthambang comes from the word, that thumb, the pillar. Can you look how Vaheguru Ji's power is the pillar to Sarovarang. Sarovarang, Sangat ji, is the ocean. Can you look at the way the ocean is held within that certain area, and how it doesn't, can Nanak, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah, can nah chijant tarang toyana. Can they look at that? Can they chijant? It doesn't affect tarang, the waves of that toyane, the water. Can they, the waves of that water, they don't come over onto that area of land where we exist, where we actually live. It remains where it remains. Look at that. Look at the pillar of Vaheguruji. Look at the way they work, and how the ocean remains where the ocean is, and we've got this land to live in. And it doesn't just, the waves of that ocean doesn't come over towards the land and destroy Chijante. It doesn't destroy where we are living. Yes, Sangatji, we know that there's certain things that happen within nature where some of these things actually come over and they do take over lands. But even that, Sangatji, is within Vaheguruji's hukam, within Vaheguruji's nature of the way these things happen. And so not going into that, because Sadhguruji Paatshah isn't focusing on that side here. And in parts of Gurbani, Guru Sahib Ji will mention that as well when things like that take place and happen, when they talk about storms and whatnot. But over here, that's not our focus. But I just mentioned that because I know there's people that sit there and their brain is always working a different direction. So Sangatji Paatshah Ji is saying, look at that. Look how amazing that one is. Look at the Shakti of that one. It's not our design. We have no power over it. Can lage fi Sache Paatshah kende Gosai Grist Rupen. Can they look at that Gosai meaning Vaheguruji, that master of ours. Kende Gosai Grist. Grist Sangatji means kende ek bahut bhari wazan wali cheez. Something that is so heavy in weight, but translating it further to, that's what it would translate to literally, but meaning how great that one is. Rupen just means form that all rupe can translate to form, but here we translate it to beauty. They said, look how amazing, look how beautiful that one is. Look at the Grist, how great that one is, that Vaheguruji is our Gosai. Kenne Simranang Sarbatra Jeevana. And then the entire Sarbatra, everyone, all Jeevana means all the Jeeves, all the creatures, all the beings. Kenne is in the Simranang, is in the remembrance of that one. And we may think that, well, that's not true because not everybody remembers that one. But when we start to think about these things, about how everything is put into place, how everything is just working, as we are thinking about that, the truth is, whether we admit it or not, just looking at the whole creation, the way it's working, the way it's in place, the way that the Shakti of Vaheguruji is giving, that has put their light into the sun and gives us energy, whether we use the word God or not. But just actually looking at all of this, everyone is doing Simran of Vaheguruji. That is the Simran of Vaheguruji. So Sangat Ji, and then Sache Paatshah Ji they say to us. And meaning kende simran sarbattar jeevane, the other arth of it is that is our life is remembering that one. That's what this life is actually given. Sarbattar, this life has been given to everyone for that purpose, to actually do simranang, to remember that one through this whole creation of that one, Sangatji. So that's the second arth to it, second translation to it. Then Paatji kehne lage kende labdeyang sant sangen nanak. Sangatji, then Paatji kende labdeyang. Kende, how is this simran, how is this remembrance found of that one? Labdeyang means found. Kende through how? Kende sant sangen. Kende if sangen means when we go into the company of sant, of the saints, of those saints that actually already live like that. The saints that actually are remembering Vaheguruji through all of these things that were mentioned in the previous salok, through the sun, through the moon, through the stars, through contemplating the child that is within the womb. Those that already live in that way of remembering Vaheguruji in that way, when we're in their company, that's how we find that remembrance of Vaheguruji. They will remind us that. Kende Nanak, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji saying, Kende, what else will we find? There's two arths to this, two ways of looking at this. Kende, what else will we find in the company of the saints? Number one, it's Savash Marga. They will show us remember the ver turns into a word. So then it's a swa. So that's how we pronounce it, Swash. So Swach Marg, Marg means path. They, within their company, they show us a path of purity, a pure path, bringing in our life pure actions. Kende hare pagtana. Kende, they will help us to devote ourselves. Pagti of hare. Sangat ji, the other arth, the other way of looking at this is that one of the arths that is done, translations that are done, one way is through the company of saints, or then they say the other way is of when we start consciously, our actions become more pure, and then we actually devote ourselves. So how does devotion come about? Devotion is when we completely give ourselves to someone. Singhaji, in the beginning, it starts off as somebody devoting themselves to the Guru. And as we devote ourselves to the Guru completely, and our Guru becomes our worship by following the Guru's word. And what happens is that worship, then that devotion starts to spill into everything. Then we start to be devoted to anything that we touch and do in our life. We do it with complete devotion, because that practice is there now through the Guru. And Sangatji, as we start to look at everything with devotion, our every action starts to become swash, starts to become pure. So then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatji say to us in the next slok, going on from that, then Paatji say to us, Kende maskang Pagnant Salang Kardamang Tarant Papilaka. Sangatji, this is beautiful. What Sache Paatji say to us in this actual salok. So they say to us, Kende maskang. Maskang, Sangatji, means machhar. Machhar means a mosquito. Kende maskang pagnant. Pagnant means smash. Pandene smashes. Kende a little machhar. Kende Pagnant salang. Salang means a patthar, means a stone. Kende a little machhar. That is, if you look at a machhar, how much strength does a little mosquito have? Next to nothing. So when we think mosquito, we think of something being very weak. Kende maskang pagnant smashes what? Salang. Salang means a stone. How can a little mosquito smash a stone? And then Sadhguruji Paatji say, kardamang tarant papilake. Then they say that kardamang Sangat Ji means chikkad meaning mud. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕardamang tarant papil ke, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ papil ke, then a little papil ke is what? An ant. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ an ant then actually manages to get across some muddy water. Sangat Ji, but if you think about that, actually we know that in that sense a little mosquito can't actually smash a stone. We know that a little ant, it can't get across mud, it'll get stuck in that mud. So what are these things? What are the metaphors that Guru, what do these actually all mean? So what is the pav artha of this? Pav artha means what does it actually mean? So what we've done is we've just done something called literal arth. We've just translated it literally, which is called akri arth, and then Sangat Ji, what we do within it is pad arth, where we actually translate word for word. So maskang is the mosquito, pagnant is to smash, that's called pad arth, word for word arth. So then sal comes from the word patthar, stone, or it can be used for a mountain as well. And then kardamang Sangat Ji is the mud, and then tarant means to get across, papilke is the ant. So that's called pad arth. Throw that in as well. So now what are these things really? Salang Sangat Ji, the patthar is when somebody is stubborn minded. When somebody, Sangat Ji, becomes like a stone from inside and is full of arrogance. When they are so, they will not budge from their place. No matter what happens to somebody, that compassion just does not well up inside of them. Sangat Ji, and there have been many people like that within this world as well. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਈ ਜਾਵੇ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਿਲਦਾ. No matter what happens around them in this world, but they are not affected at all. There's those people that are just outright cold-hearted. But Sangat Ji, then there are those as well that become salang. There's those as well that become like a patthar. So we'll look at it. So there's three things how I want to look at this of being a patthar. There's those where Satguru Ji Sache Paatshah Ji talk about. ਸੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਜਿਨਕੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਮੈਲਾ ਚਿੱਤ ਕਠੋਰ ਜਿਓ. So when we look at that, they say, Paatshah Ji saying, there's people out there in this world that chitte jinke kapde, that who have actually got white clothes on. And what Paatshah Ji means is by that they've got white clothes on, that they have got religious robes on. Mere varga koi stands up and wears these white clothes and shows to the world that they are religious. And many of times for many people, they don't always have bad intentions, and they set off on a path, a religious path. They set off on this path with that intention of having within their mind that they want to meet Vaheguru Ji. They want to meet God and they want to do good for other people. This has happened to so many people. But as they are on that path, jitte jinke kapde, but look at how crazy this is. They've taken on a godly path, a religious path. But whilst on that path, what's happened is, because of the attention that they got, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੋਭਾ ਵੱਧ ਗਈ because of their glory, people praising them. People saying to them, ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੀ ਰੱਬ ਆ. People start saying to them that you are God for us. ਫਿਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ within all that praise, that's why Paatshah Ji say to us, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਸਤਤ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਦਉ ਤਿਆਗੇ ਖੋਜੇ ਪਦ ਨਿਰਬਾਨਾ. If you actually want to get anywhere on this spiritual path, you have to let go of both. Ustat ninda is praise and slander. It's slander and praise. Ustat, first praise, and ninda. Praise is so dangerous that first of all, constantly falsely praising somebody and then constantly getting that appetite of listening to your praise, and it starts to affect you, and you start to become arrogant. You start to actually see yourself to be better than other people now. That's what पाच कहते पहला कहते चिट्टे जिनके कपड़े कहते कपड़े चिट्टे पहला पाए ता सी वो those चिट्टे कपड़े वो those white robes in the beginning they set off not out to deceive anyone, they didn't have any evil intentions in their mind for anyone. And you can see this happen to so many people in the past, and it happens to people now as well. Pyaro dar lagda hai. That's why Padshah ji has called it a terrifying path. And Sangat ji over here, that's what the chikkad is. You know where here Sache Padshah ji has spoke about in this Mangati. If I just find myself there, Kardamang is then the mud of attachment. But then we get attached to that position that we are in, the position that people put us up so high. We get attached to becoming somebody religious, our status of what people are referring to us as, being a sant, being somebody so great. And then Sangat ji, that people then get Kardamang, they get attached to the praise that they are getting. So this attachment, remember what we went through, that it's so fine, so subtle, we get attached to the way people speak to us. When somebody praises us, we find out that somebody's praising me, we get attached to that way. And we also then get attached to those people that are praising us. We get attached to people that follow us. So those things that we were meant to let go of, kende chitte jinke kapade Mela Chit, because we're looking at Sal, we're looking at that Sache Padshah ji is saying to us here. Salang, the patthar, the stone, becoming stone hard, kende Mela Chit. Kende, but eventually what happens is, because we get then caught up in all of this praise, we start to actually believe that I am someone greater than others. Arrogance. Then they've got the stone of arrogance inside of them now. It's so difficult now to smash that. So difficult to smash arrogance once it's there. Once I start to believe within my mind, I am somebody so great. And Sangaji, and then becoming that stone-minded, the mind becomes impure now. The moment you see yourself to be greater than somebody else, your mind starts to become impure. Then how many times then have we seen? Then from that impurity, because remember, ek wari jadon ek cheez gandi hogi, fir dusra gand uppar laun vaste koi fir aukha nahi hunda. Once something becomes a little dirty, once this is pure, I don't want to put anything dirty on it. But once I've got one stain, then I think it's okay. If another stain comes upon it, how many people then do we see? Then they get to that position, and then do you hear about O falane sant ne os teemi nu chhediya, us naal idaं kiti, jabardasti kiti? Then how many times do you hear that story? That you hear that falana such and such person, that saint, look what they ended up doing. They ended up having an affair with such and such woman that was even married or whatever. Then all these crazy stories start to come out, because from one male to another, and it all started from where? It could have been from praise. Wasn't able to handle the praise and the status that we actually received, and we started to believe in that, and then we started to have that arrogance about that. We became then stone-minded. Mela chit kathor. Kathor, Sangat ji, means when you become stubborn-minded, when you become stone-hearted. Look, kathor jiyo. Kathor means stone-hearted minds. The same thing here, salang. And what does that mean now? Where they set off on a path of purity, of compassion, but now they don't care about when they're hurting somebody else now. They could be having multiple affairs, they could be hurting people's, ruining people's families, but no compassion, don't care, become salang. Sangat ji, par Sache Padshah ji here is saying, but look at the way things work. That's very important for us to be able to capture that and see the way how it all falls into place. And when Sache Padshah ji here is saying to us, कहने लगे ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਮਸਕੰਗ ਭਗਨੰਤ ਸੈਲੰਗ ਕਰਦਮੰਗ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੈਲੰਗ now become a ਪੱਥਰ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੱਛਰ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ even when somebody becomes so weak from inside and they can't do anything about the arrogance and how stubborn and how stone-like they have become now, and not caring for even if they are hurting other people, because it's you then come to a place inside where you become like that little machar, you become so weak. You sometimes start feeling sick about your own self, and you don't want to now even be that person anymore, but you're finding it difficult to come away from that. And a WhatsApp status that I put up today, Sangat Ji, was again inspired by somebody who became a motivational speaker, who was actually diagnosed with leukemia in his life, but that leukemia became an awakening for him and became a very beautiful soul. And he said those amazing words, saying that you cannot feel lonely. You cannot feel lonely if basically the basis of it was that if you like being in company of the person you are alone with, that one that you are alone with, meaning with yourself, with your own mind. If you have become inside of your own self, have become a beautiful, pleasant person, a person that is full of compassion, then you will never feel lonely, because you are with that beauty of those beautiful gun within yourself. And Sangat Ji, in that way, but then those people that become needy in life is because they are not enjoying their own company, because they feel sick of that, what they have become from inside. And that's what this is talking about here. But then you, like that little machar, you feel that you've got no strength now. But they're saying that machar builds some strength and smashes that arrogance. How does that happen? Sangatji, how does that? We'd all like to know that, wouldn't we? Maskang pagananta salang, how is it that that little ant, so weak, that is able to get across this kardamang, this attachment, this muddy attachment? Pachji कहने के सागरंग langant. So इत्थे कग्गे नूं पूरा नहीं बोलना. So it's half of the sound of the gagga, so it's not as strong, and so we say langant. Ino gagga bhi nahi bolna, langant, kalla langant bhi nahi bolna, langant bolna inu. Emphasize the gagga, but not as a full gagga, so half. Sagarang, this ocean of this life that can be so difficult, kande langant. Pingang, but even Sache Paatji is saying, even if somebody is a cripple, can get across this sagarang, this world ocean, how? Who is a cripple? So Freedcourt Steek has translated Pingang to a cripple to being somebody that Sangatji, when is it we're not able to get across this life and get sucked into that attachment? What does it mean to be crippled and not be able to walk? Is when we're not in nishkamata. So when we are working at a place of in kamana meaning that we are not selfless, we have not become desireless. So being crippled means when we've got these multiple desires and wants for all the actions that we are doing. So somebody, no matter what ritual that I am doing, it's not devotion, because in devotion there is just sacrifice, is just I'm giving. But being crippled means that Sache Paatshah say to us in Bani, they say to us in Gurbani, they say that de Mange sahsa guna sob kare sansar. That for me, it looks as if I'm giving so much. I'm doing so much charitable work. I'm doing so much seva in the Gurdwara, I'm washing away the dishes, I'm cleaning the shoes, I'm distributing the langar. On the outside it looks like I'm doing so much, I'm giving so much charity. But then inside, I'm not nishkam. From inside, I haven't become desireless. From inside, I want something back. Mange sehsa guna. But what I desire back is 1,000 times more than what I am doing. Mange sehsa guna. It's not love. It's a deal. It's a business deal. Ek nahi ashki. That they're saying that what type of ashki is this? Je duje lage pai. This is that if you're in love, can they with duality of wanting something back for that? That's not devotion. That's not bhakti. Can they Nanak ashk kandiye sadhi rahe samaye? Can they but? So if we just go to the next part, change changa kar manne. Mande manda hoye. Can they ashke ho na akhiye je lekhe varte? So you've got this business deal going on. Saying yeah, look, Vaheguruji. So we go to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. We've done our matha take. I was saying, by the way, look, I'm going to put down 2 pence, but look, sort it out. I want a great wife. I want, this is the type of, I don't just, I don't want just a Mercedes. It's got to be this class, and it's got to be this model. But Vaheguru Sache Pacha Satnam Sri Vaheguru, and then I'm doing matha take there. They people are saying, wow, Adekta saying, look how much they're giving. So because the whole world is saying, wow. But Sache Pacha is saying, kende seva thodi mangana bahta, kende but the service is not much. Kende but mangana bahta, but we're asking for so much. That's in that way we're crippled. And that's why we're not able to get across. Can they even Sache Pacha Ji is saying, can they sagarang langant, can they pingang, can they even somebody that was past tense, that was a cripple. Tam Pragas Andhka, the ones that were completely blind and ignorant in the Tam, in all of their wants and desires, can they pragas, they lit up from inside. Why? With what? With can they sad sangain, when they actually did sangat? When they actually did sangat of who? Of Sad, of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. When they did sang, when they accompanied the Bani of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, can they sad sangain, simrant, then through this Bani, they remembered Gobind, they remembered Vaheguru Ji. And they Sharana, then they came into the sanctuary, Nanak Hare came into the sanctuary of Vaheguru Ji. Meaning that Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Patsha Ji, when we actually contemplate their Bani, they will take us to a true place of remembrance without us being crippled, without us having 1,000 times more wanting back. It's without it being a business deal. So then, from being a pingal, from being a little machar, from being a little mosquito that had no power, that from being a little ant that could not get out of this attachment, this mud. But Guru Granth Sahib Ji Pacha, your Bani is so great, Sache Pacha Ji, this Sad Sangain, because I truly did your Sangat. Then what happened? You gave me true Simran. Remember, true Simran, true remembrance of Vaheguru Ji is, there is no desire in it. And with your remembrance, as you strengthen me with your remembrance, and you then make me into a true little ant and machar, meaning you fill me with the most powerful, the greatest thing on this earth, and that is with nimrata, and that is with humility, and then I get the strength to smash into pieces that stubborn-minded arrogance, and then Sangaji, I get across. So Pyareo, meaning that becoming even stone-minded, people can, once they give themselves to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Patsha, completely surrendered to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Patsha, they will give us that strength and ability to turn our lives around. And Sangat Ji, so if we're struggling directly to make that connection with the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, then Sache Paatshah Ji, just like they said to us before, can they with then being in the company of those saints that are filled with compassion, their vibration of compassion will spill over to us that is following Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah. They will actually then give us strength to smash arrogance into pieces, to smash through, to get out of this attachment, and to actually make us then nishkam, to make us desireless and not doing trade deals with Vaheguruji all the time. But when we become completely desireless, then we'll be in complete devotion of bhakti of that Vaheguruji. So then Sangat Ji will immerse ourselves in the remembrance. When we're in the remembrance of Vaheguruji, when we're just in awe of Vaheguruji, that you are, look at this perfectly, making this earth go round, how you've given us dharti. We're in that remembrance, and in that remembrance, and then Guru Sahib will give us that remembrance. When it becomes desireless, then being desireless will smash through these things that are holding us back, and we'll get to experience the Akal Purkh Vaheguruji. So Sangat Ji, इतनियां बेनतियां प्रवान, एक नहीं पर अनेकां ही गलतियां हो गई हैं, अनजान बच्चा समझ के बख्श देना। सो आओ गज वज के बलाइए फतेह। संगत जी अरदास नाले करदे होइए कि सानू सच्चे पातशाह जी सानू असल ओ सिमरन दी दात बख्शनी, आप जी दा नाम साडे हिरदे विच वसाउणा। Allow your name to come and sit inside of my heart and give me your remembrance, that I see you in everything, Vaheguruji, and that way I can be saved as well from the mud of attachment. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.